Welcome to Healthy and Whole.
Mind, body, and soul. My name is Dr. Leonard Presley.
And I'm Shawnee Presley.
And welcome to the show. We want to first, at the top of every show, we start off by saying thank you to the pastor, Pastor Wyatt Jr., Pastor John Wyatt Jr., and his wife, Sister Paulette, who are the pastor and first lady of the Apostolic Faith Church at Brooklyn 265 in New York. We want to say thank you to them because they have this was their brainchild. They got together with us to produce the show. We want to say thank you to the programming committee, the technical team behind the scenes. Thank you so much for all that you do to help this show go, to help our community be more healthy and whole. So, welcome to the show. My name is Leonard Presley.
And I'm Shawnee Presley.
And it's that time of year again.
So what are you doing for the holidays?
Too much.
Why too much?
Because it's just everybody's out and wants to do stuff.
We need to figure this out.
What do we need to figure out?
At the top of the show, we got to figure out how to be whole for the holidays.
Oh, I like that play on words. Whole for the holidays. She's being innovative tonight. Whole for the holidays. Well, I agree. That is very important because the holidays, though they can be very festive and very fun, it can be very tiring, very overwhelming. And especially this year, because this is kind of the first Christmas back, or the first holiday season back from COVID. So everybody is revenge gathering.
Yes.
You know, you got to revenge shopping, revenge traveling. Now people are going to be doing revenge gathering because trying to make up for what we may see as
time.
That's, you know what, and it's not truly lost time, but that's what people see it as, is lost time. Before we do that, I've got a correction to make from last month's show.
Okay.
You remember? Last month I talked to I was introducing, we were talking about mental health and how to deal with the stresses of life. And one point I made, and I misspoke when I said that we take things that are a normal part of life and traumatize them. We treat everything as trauma. I misspoke. A lot of those things like grief and loss, those things are trauma, but they're not pathology. That's what I was meaning to say, is that things that are trauma, but that are a normal part of life, yes, they affect us. Yes, they can be traumatic, but that doesn't mean it's a pathology or a disease process. Okay, so I apologize if anyone went away feeling like their grief or whatever was being made light of or dismissed, because those things are traumatic experiences in life, but they're not a pathology, so to speak, because it's almost an expected normal part of life. It's just that we have to learn how to deal with the trauma, not treat it like a disease process.
Well, I'm glad you went into that because
I'm not too big to say I'm wrong. I'm not too big for that.
The great thing about that is we are going into thriving, not just surviving the holidays.
True.
So you breaking that down really brought light into people that are grieving, that are going through depression and anxiety. So how are we going to thrive through the holidays?
Well, I think there's 3 or 4 areas that you really look at that cause people problems during the holidays. The first one being the holidays can be so busy that it almost feels like it burns you out because there's so much going on. So I think the first area we need to deal with is how do we thrive with the level of activity that is sometimes feels required for us during the holidays.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that first before I get started?
Well, I like what you said, burnout. And I think with what we all experienced through these past couple of years, it felt like we had to figure out or mentally figure out a new style of living.
Right.
And it wasn't something we were used to. And because we weren't used to it, we were basically creating a whole new life.
Very true. Very true.
And because it was a whole new life, you didn't know when your burnout was coming.
True.
And when your burnout came, you just said, some of us said the heck with everything. So that's what I think about that burnout way.
And I do think this holiday season is going to be more trying than most, because when we were in strict lockdown quarantine, the only people you dealt with was your immediate family. So even though you tried to do things to make up for that time or to kind of keep some normalcy during quarantine, it was not as stressful because there were not as many options, not as many demands. Then we've kind of progressed where there have been a little more things, maybe a program here on church, maybe a thing online, maybe a little gathering at a school. But this year, it's kind of the world's, as they say, we out here.
Yeah.
We just out here, So everybody's just, let's get back at it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that is going to that's going to magnify this year is that because these demands are almost new again for us.
Yes.
It's been easy for me to sit at home on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, on New Year's. It's been easy for me to do that because I didn't really have an option. And I got acclimated to being able to thrive in that very controlled, condensed environment. And now I'm trying to go back out and peopling is hard.
Yes, it is.
It's taxing. Some days I wake up, some days I say, I don't feel like peopling today, and I think that's not just because of who we are. That's a product of what we've experienced over the last couple of years where we didn't have to people as much.
And remember, we talked about earlier that everyone is new.
Yeah.
You are a new person right now from what you were 3 years ago.
I don't think I'll say new, different. You're different.
That's good.
You're different.
That's correct. We're different people. And because we haven't been around our socialite all the time like we were, they're going to encounter a new version of us.
Yes, very true. That is so true. That's a very good point. Because one thing that I know, being kind of removed from the world at large for these couple of years and kind of incrementally working back, that time just being encapsulated allowed me to explore me.
Yeah.
It allowed me to be introspective over what I like, what I don't, what helps me, what hurts. And now, armed with that new knowledge or that different knowledge, my relationships are going to be handled differently because I understand me differently. So why am we saying all of this? Understand that you're going to be different.
Yes.
The people you're interacting with are different. And therefore, don't overstress everything. Don't try to oversimplify it. Well, you used to be like, well, we all used to be something before COVID.
Right.
We're different now. Okay? Because our psyche is nothing more than our perspective on the world based on our past experience.
Yes.
These last 3 years have been not traumatic, not pathology, but traumatic experience. And it's changed the way we see us and changed the way we interact with the world. So we want to thrive through the holidays.
Yes.
We know it's going to be more taxing than usual because we're reintegrating into a social world that just really hasn't been this functional for a couple of years. The first thing you have to do is understand where you are mentally. You have to. A lot of times we just feel this obligation to just be there. But you have to make sure that when you be there, when you are going to a place, you want to try to take the best version of yourself.
Yes.
You can't do that if you're not aware of what you're feeling. We talked about a couple of shows ago, maybe the last show, interrogate your emotions.
Yeah.
If someone's invited you to something and you just really don't want to go, you need to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
You really need to ask yourself why. Because if you don't, you will just say, well, I feel I need to go. And that emotion is still there.
Yeah.
The thing that triggered that emotion is still there. So when you show up, you're there, but you're there guarded. You're there not fully because you're trying to suppress this thing that something's not right. I don't feel like being here. Now, it could be something external, where there's a relationship dynamic, there's the setting is just not functional, it's not comfortable for you, the travel may not, may be taxing on you, the dynamic in the relationship with the people you invited, or the people who invited you, or the people you're going to encounter may be off, or it could be internal, where you're unsure, you're tired, you're expecting to be tired. You never look at your schedule and be like, I don't want to do nothing this week because I know what I have coming next week.
Yes.
So you have to interrogate why you feel that way.
I can give you an example. Last night, I went to a woman's
Christmas in November.
I
didn't get to go.
No, it was for women. And I didn't really want to go because I didn't want to interact with so many new people, and I didn't want to just have to put myself out there. And he knows, because I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. But I was like, I need to go because I need to meet new people, which I meet new people every day. I went there with a reservation, and I had to mentally internalize, why was I feeling like that? So I'm in the place, and I'm seeing all these wonderful people. They're laughing and talking, and I'm doing the laughing and talking. But internally, I'm like, I really don't want to be here. And that was just so odd for me. Like we said, coming out of this new session and being alone, learning who you are more and more and more, you start to realize that when you start getting comfortable by yourself, you don't care about being around other people to mess with your comfort.
Right.
Sorry
go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. But then I realized within myself, I had to suppress that. Because I was in a great environment. I was around a lot of wonderful people. And when I did that, then the joy that truly was within me came out.
And I think that is going to be one of the things that we have to do going into this holiday season and throughout, is don't push yourself into something that is going to be counterproductive for your mental health, but don't allow yourself to stay in a corner either, because we are social creatures. We need connection, and not just the immediate connections. We crave broad community-based connections. It's how God made us. So if we begin to stay into this corner that the life pushed us into, our mental health is going to suffer at some point. So yes, interrogate your emotions. If it's not truly something that is going to be counterproductive or harmful for your mental health, you may need to try to step out of that, what has become what I call the COVID bubble comfort zone, where I had this bubble that was comfortable for me. It was my own environment. I controlled everything. I didn't have to extend when I didn't want to. It's time to work those muscles again, to reshape those social connections, our social approach, our perspective on the world. So that's one thing you have to do.
I wanted to just jump, because it just brought to my mind where this, they say they have dog whisperers.
Yes.
Where certain, like, domestic dogs, they're used to their particular owner.
Yes.
And when they go out, they just bark at everybody and stuff like that. And the problem is not that they don't like the people out there, is that they felt that you were coming to change my environment.
Right.
And they had to push the animal into allowing, knowing that it's not going to be harmful for you.
Yes.
So that's a step towards I'm learning it's okay now.
Right. And, that's a very good point. When I had Taba was my Rottweiler I had in graduate school. And, my mom was very nervous because Rottweilers can be seen as being aggressive and dangerous. So I did a lot of research before I got that puppy. And one of the things I learned is that at an early age, you have to do what they call socialize the dog. You have to take the dog in public, around big people, small people, tall people, just every different kind of person in every different setting at day and at night. Because as that dog, even though it may be somewhat stressful for that puppy to have to see and engage in all these different environments, because they begin to know that this is just a part of the world, they're not walking around in an environment, all of a sudden they lash out and bark or bite someone.
A heightened sense of
and I'm not saying we're like dogs, but socially, if we don't start to re-socialize, re-engage with the world, with the perspective, with the internal kind of clock running, knowing how we are, and if we don't begin to do that, a year from now, 6 months from now, you're going to start looking at relationships or looking at the state of your social network, and it's not going to be very strong. Other people may be beginning to reintegrate and do things and rebuild that network, and you're going to be sitting there like, what's wrong with me?
Or what's wrong with them?
Wrong with them?
Why aren't they calling me? Why aren't we hanging out like we used to?
Right. But it's going to take that initial muscling through that first step to reintegrate. But here's the thing. Now that we've said you've got to put yourself out there, you've got to go, don't go too much.
Yes.
There's a level to this, okay?
Yes.
We talked about this at the top of the show. One thing about the holidays is that there's so many things going on, and you can feel obligated to be at everything.
Mm-hmm.
That even in pre-COVID times, that led to more burnout. That led to more harmful relationship dynamics, because you end up socially drained,
Mm-hmm.
but you're feeling obligated to go to all of these things. And when you get there, there's just nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, why are you being antisocial? Why are
And
you being
you're
so
not.
standoffish?
You're not.
I don't have it. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you thrive through the holidays? This is a hard thing for our community, for our church folks, for our family units.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Friends as well.
friends, yeah, when you get invited to an event, write it down in a calendar, in a schedule somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that important? Number one, it gives you the opportunity to see how busy you really are.
Yes.
If somebody invites you to something on a Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
and you know you have 2 events that following Friday, that might maybe you might have to say, let me wait and see how that's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You may have to say, I'll come, but I can't stay late.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just say, yes, I'm coming, yes, I'm coming, yes, I'm coming, yes, I'm coming, you won't even realize it. But by mid-December, you've been to an event that lasts late into the night, every night of the week, and you're wondering why now you're acting like the Grinch on Christmas.
But this was before COVID.
Yeah. Exactly.
See, that was our life.
That was our life before COVID. And now think about it.
We're
If you
getting
go back to
into it.
that,
Yes.
with people heightened and wanting to have all these events, so there's going to be more events and people are going to be pulling more, and it's going to take more mental muscle for you to step out of that COVID comfort zone again.
Right.
So now you've got double demands on your
layers.
You got layers to this.
Yes.
There's layers to this.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to start by knowing what you're committing to, and you won't be able to do that unless you have a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Get a wall calendar, type it in your phone.
Mm-hmm.
When you commit, type it in your phone.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Or if somebody invites you to something and you're like, you know what, let me see.
Mm-hmm.
Right then and there, everything is voice controlled now.
Yeah.
Whether it's iPhone, whether it's Android. You could just, hey, whatever, I don't want to say it because my phone will start talking. But make a reminder to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get back to that. And then visualize what you have coming up.
Mm-hmm.
That allows you to, one, not overschedule yourself. It
Yes.
allows you not to get yourself running too hard.
Mm-hmm.
2, it allows you not to double book yourself, because if you do that, you're going to disappoint somebody. You said you were coming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I forgot I had this thing. And now you're dealing with the whole, well, why'd you choose that thing over my thing?
Oh.
You know, so again, visual. And 2, it allows you to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
When you know what the options are.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been standing in a restaurant, and you're looking at the menu?
Chinese restaurant,
or Cheesecake Factory,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, especially Cheesecake Factory, because their menu's like a Bible.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there and you're looking. You have to prioritize what's most important to you at that moment.
That's true.
Okay, so when you get all these options to gather this holiday season, put them visually somewhere so you can, 1, not overschedule, 2, not double schedule, and 3, you can begin to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I get invited to this person at the office who I may speak with twice a year, even before COVID. We knew each other, but we just kind of passed in the hall. Mm-hmm. They're having something at a bowling alley somewhere. Okay, I might want to go to that. That might be fun. Mm-hmm. But then I get an invite either that same night or the immediate night following for a family member's very important event. Mm-hmm. If I don't know those things, and listen, the world is way too busy for us to remember all this stuff.
That's true.
We don't hold things in our working memory, especially when we're making split-second commitments and decisions. Mm-hmm. Write it down. That when you look at it, you can call that person back and say, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it to the bowling, the Globe Bowling for Christmas because my family's having such and such. Yeah. Or you can tell your family, hey, I'm going to go to this thing Thursday. Yeah. I may show up for this thing on Friday, but I'm going to be a little late or I can't stay late. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to see what you're scheduling.
And you have to be able to have the courage to do that.
Yeah. And I didn't. I'm going to tell you right now, I struggle with no. Mm-hmm. She'll tell you this. But God sent me her because she doesn't struggle with no. Y'all that know her know she doesn't struggle with no. But I struggle with no until I understood that it wasn't just the courage to say no. It was the reason why I needed to say no. Mm-hmm. Once you burn yourself out, you're no good to you or the people you're spending time with. Mm-hmm. If you're not mentally present, mentally full, mentally ready, even though you're physically in a place, you're almost at risk of doing more harm to a relationship than good.
Yes.
Because you're really not going to be able to offer. You're going to be irritable. You're going to be every little thing that's not right. You're going to nitpick it and find it. And you're going to complain when you leave the event. You're going to complain when you're going to an event. So you're just not in a good spirit. You're not in a good mood.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to do that. If you love or want to be connected, you should want to be connected with the best version of you.
Yes.
Prioritizing and boundaries makes that possible. Now, this is two-sided.
You also said if you don't plan, people will plan for you.
Exactly. And if you don't know what your plans are, because we'll all say, yeah, I plan to go to this, I plan to go to that, but you don't know how that looks. So then when people just start sending you invites and inviting you to things, they're filling your calendar for you. You're not prioritizing. You're not pacing yourself. You're not allowing yourself to think through these things. And you end up, why did I say I'm going to go to this? I don't have time to do that. And now, again, this is all still on top of work and family responsibilities. This is extra stuff. Why did I commit to this? Because you didn't visualize it. You didn't think through what you were doing.
Even with students, you commit, but you didn't realize I have a midterm or I have a big test coming
up. It's finals
and I need to study these last 3 days to make sure that I get everything.
Yes.
So it's not just families, it's also students.
And for work, coming down to the end of the year, some companies are starting up on budget things for next year. They're starting up on tying out billing for the end of the year, doing end of the year audits. These are giant responsibilities that you may be tasked with. So if you're doing that at work, you've got your family home life, and now you're overcommitting socially, nowhere is going to thrive. You're not going to be whole. You're going to be bits and pieces. And that's not going to be productive for you. Here's the other part of that,
We want you to be whole for the holidays.
Whole for the holidays. Here's the other part for this, though. We want to have boundaries, but we also have to understand when other people have boundaries.
Yes.
This has to be reciprocal. Sometimes you're not going to be mentally in the right shape to go to these things and attend and do all these sorts of things. So if you turn down an event, don't feel trashed when somebody feels the need to do the same thing.
Yes.
We are all human. Some grace is necessary here.
Yes.
None of us can be everywhere at every place at every time doing everything.
Only God.
Only God can do that. So we have to understand, even though I want this person there, if they can't be, it's not always, I can't say ever, it's not always them saying, I don't like being around you.
Yes.
That's not always what this is.
It's not personal.
It's not a personal affront or attack. It's, either my schedule doesn't allow, my priorities are, I got to set these priorities because this is necessary, or I don't have the capacity. I don't have the capacity. That doesn't make you less of a woman, less of a man. That just makes you more of a human. I'm going to say it again.
And that's self-care.
Boundaries doesn't make you less of a man or a woman. It makes you more human. That's self-care. And self-preservation is not selfishness. Because if I don't take care of me, then I can't help take care of my family. I can't be the best for my children. I can't be the best in the church. I can't be the best in the community. But that demands some recharge time. Jesus even did that. He would go away from the people for a while. I listen. I know I just did all these miracles for y'all, but I need a break. Give me a minute. I was thinking the other day, and this is not, please don't give me a theological argument in the comments. But like after when Jesus was in the boat and they were sleeping in the storm, he's probably like, look, storm or no storm, I need to rest. I'm tired. I just did all of this stuff. But sometimes we think we just went and did all of this great work. We're in the middle of a storm and no, I don't want to rest. No, you need to. You have to allow yourself to do that. So there's the tips for how do we manage the busy, hectic schedules and thrive in the holidays so we can be whole. So that's the planning and social piece. There was another piece we talked about too. We talked about the relational health.
Yes, correct.
Relational health. I think you touched on it when you said we're different now.
Yes.
We see ourselves different. We see the world different. And that's going to impact how we interact. Have grace with people and yourself. If you don't feel like being there, sometimes you're just not going to have to be there.
And if your friend understands I have to be honest. If your friend understands you and you're like, I'm tired today, but they just want to be with you, they'll come over and let you sleep, and they'll just be with you.
Yeah.
I have a friend like that.
And one of the things that I really found is, let's say, hey, let's go out to dinner tonight, and you're like, I can't tonight, but can we do this? Or maybe we can meet for lunch on Thursday. You know, don't just completely brush people off, but you cannot sacrifice yourself on the altar of social connection.
Yeah.
Now, yes, we love our brothers and sisters in Christ. We love our people in our communities and our jobs, but we have to preserve our mental health in the process. This is very hard and different for us as a church community.
Yeah.
It is.
Because you go to everything.
You
go to everything. Dragging and twisting around, somebody rolling you in the door. And you go to everything.
Yeah, people ask you, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. You lying.
You know you're not fine. You tired.
You're not telling the truth. You tired, you mad.
Or you say, or this is the thing, I'm not going to complain. God is good.
When somebody says that to me, I'm like, you need to go take a nap. You're upset about something. Okay? But again, and you have to work this as it fits you. Everybody's not going to look the same. Everybody doesn't have the same level of responsibility.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have the same level of tolerance. So you have to use all of that introspective time you had during COVID and put the best you forward. And you have grace for people, and hopefully people will have grace with you.
Yeah.
Like, understand this is going to be different, but please, for the love of everything that is holy, schedule.
Yes.
When you accept or get invited, write it down and visually look at it, because that is the reason most of us overdo it in the holidays when it comes to the pace we try to maintain, is because we just, in the joy of the season, we just commit to things. Yes, I'm coming. Ooh, that'll be fun. Ooh. And next thing you know, like I said, before Christmas, and your family's like, oh, why are you acting like that?
We have a calendar in almost every room in this house.
Yes.
And I have notes. And sometimes he'll get a call or I get a call. We want you to come to this event. And I'll say, let me check my calendar. Sometimes there's an event already on that day.
Yeah.
Because sometimes our events are scheduled 2 months out.
Yeah.
So to make sure that I give the people the time that they want, all of me or all of him or all of our whole family, we make sure that we're looking at our schedule and that we're allowing people to know.
Yes.
Okay, we have this time. How about we do it this day? How about we do it that day? We've learned to do that.
Yeah. And another thing that protects us from doing is just saying no for the sake of no. Because if you just say no, I'm not coming, then people think then their mind is immediately going to go to, they just don't like me.
Yeah.
But if you say, hey, we've got this thing already scheduled, or I'm already committed to this, or that week's already really busy, you don't even have to say I have something that night.
Yeah.
You can say, you know what, that week's already really busy for me. Because if you've already got 3 events planned during the middle of the work week, you probably don't need to add a 4th.
We had that.
Yeah.
Recently.
Okay. So, when it comes down to maintaining your relational health, your mental health, and your physical health to some degree, schedule. Know what's going on. Know what you're committing to. So what's the next part we're going to talk about here?
Budgeting.
Oh, goodness.
Money.
Dollar bills.
Money. Budgeting. That's hard for people.
It's especially now because people are out revenge buying. I saw a stat the other day that said in the early 1900s, like when I'm talking 1900 to 1920.
The kids say we're old.
Yeah, they say we're born in the 1900s. I always send them to their room when they say that. Dad, did y'all have color TV in the 1900s? I'm like, you're not gonna have a color TV if you keep talking to me like that. But in the early 1900s, 1900 to 1920, 90% of household income was spent on necessities. Food, clothing, shelter, that sort of stuff. As busy, as hard financially as it is right now, what percentage do you think the average American spends on necessities?
Let me think. I can't talk about our household because we're different. 40%.
50%.
I was close.
50%. So you think about it. 50% of the things we complain about spending money on are unnecessary.
Wow.
And this is a huge economic study that was done. So back in those days, they were spending all of their money on survival. I need food, I need shelter, I need sanitation. Now we're spending 50% of our income, on discretionary items, and complaining about it.
You know, one thing that I've been seeing as a recurring theme is people need to start saving money.
Yes.
Because we are in sort of a recession. And 2023 is going to be a big hit for many people.
There's a flip or flop year coming.
Yes. And a lot of economists, am I right?
Yes.
Said that we need to make sure that we have reserves.
Yes.
And you're right. When you go in the store, you see something, you're like, ooh, that used to be $10 a week ago. Now it's $7. I need to buy it. But do you really need to buy it?
Do you need to buy that? No. But for the holidays, budgeting, everything that is not necessary. It's not necessary.
We didn't do that the last few months.
No.
We did not.
No, but I will say, I think just like we talked about planning the social commitments and that sort of thing, you have to do like the gamblers do when they go to Vegas. When a person who knows they're going to Vegas and knows they're going to gamble, they set aside money and said, this is what I can afford to lose. This is my gambling money. It doesn't always work that way. They don't always stick to it. But when they get on the plane, or before they leave their house, going to Vegas or going to Atlantic City or wherever they're going to gamble, they set aside the money. This is what I'm going to gamble with. Once I'm done with that, I'm done. We have to do that financially for the holidays, whether it's how much am I going to spend on Thanksgiving dinner, whether it's how much I'm going to spend on gifts for people. Know what you plan, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes.
So if you don't have a goal, you just are, ooh, I can get this for that person, and I can get that for this person, and ooh, this looks nice.
Like me. That sounds just like me. I buy stuff, and it'll be a year from now, and somebody pops up and like, I bought that for you. That I didn't buy it for you, but I just always think if I buy this, somebody can use it.
Yeah, and you know what?
And I don't always need to do that.
That's okay. But when you're talking about in the moment, impulse buying is the enemy of financial stability.
That's right. You're right.
And let me tell you something. Do not deceive yourself, to use a quote from the Bible. You are not more disciplined than the marketing strategists out there. These people spend.
Put some big eyes emojis if you're the one like me, impulse buying sometimes.
If you think these corporations spend millions and millions of dollars on advertising, market research, mining your data from social media to know what you're interested in, they know how to manipulate the mind of the consumer. So if you don't have a structure to start with, if you don't have a foundational principle, I'm not going to spend more than this. Even if you spend more than that, it's
not too far off of that number you set.
Exactly. So if you're saying I'm not spending more than $1,000 on gifts this year, you might spend $1,200, but you're not going to hopefully spend $3,000 or $4,000. Okay. So, and now here's another tip that I've heard when it comes to, so you set the budget, but you want to get this person they would really love this gift or this thing. You may not be able to buy that entire thing. Buy something that starts them on the process. If somebody wants a Cricut machine, they, those things that you make labels and t-shirts and arts and crafts and all that Etsy type stuff. You may not be able to afford the machine, but say, you know what? I'm going to go out and buy them 4 rolls of the vinyl for the machine. Okay. Hey, you know what? I wanted to invest in your new, I thought you would like this for your interest. I know you're interested in starting with this stuff. So I went out and I bought you some supplies. That might be where the machine is anywhere from $200 to $400. You might have just spent $30 or $40, and you've taken their input, or you've taken their feelings or their interest into account, and you've given them a gift.
It's more of a connection
Exactly.
kind of gift. Yeah.
Exactly. So even if they don't have the machine, now they're encouraged to, okay, you know what? I see that this is exciting. I get to use this stuff, and I got that. I didn't know, I didn't even know I needed that thing, but I'm glad you did it. Buying something that is maybe not the entire interest, but it's a starting point. It's a help. Do that. You may not be able to finance the whole idea, but do something.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that, again, that helps you to maintain the budget.
That's nice. Yeah.
Right? So, and now one of the things I'm going to tell you that's very hard to do is if this person is really into high-end sneakers, that's going to be tough. That's hard.
It depends on what type of high-end sneakers.
But there you go. There's always a deal. There's always a 20% off. And
a 40% off if you find the right size.
Exactly. Because retailers are jockeying so much for the money they know consumers are going to spend, Black Friday sales started in October. Don't be afraid to go to the sales, to shop online. If you see a great deal and you know it fits within your budget and that's something I want to do, that is not an impulse buy. You've budgeted for this gift. You found a good price on it. Use it. Save money where you can.
There's an app called Flip, F-L-I-P-P. And it works in every area code. And it tells you shows you all the sales papers, all of the events that are happening in your area. If you get a chance, download that app. You will not regret it. And
look, you can go into the Flip app. I'm not the coupon shopper, she is. But I can go into the Flip app and type in baseball gloves. And it'll show me, the 4 or 5 different sporting goods stores, who's got the best prices, who's running a sale, who's got something on clearance. So now, right at my fingertips, I've got what I need to get the gift I want at the best price. Better
decision, yes.
So budget, and then help people start if you can't do the whole thing. Invest in it that way. And number 3, use the promotions that are out there.
Yes.
If you shop online a lot, there are web extensions where you go into your browser, and when you click on something, it'll automatically pull up every coupon code on the internet that's found for that item.
Yes, I'm not going to put advertisements out there, but there's a couple of them.
Yes. So, and if you just do web coupon or web extension for coupons, search that, it'll come up, and you don't even have to go to it. You just click on your shopping, and it's automatically feeding you, hey, there's a 10% off here, there's a 50% off there.
Clipping is for the
nobody clips coupons
the
anymore.
old days.
Technology will do this for you, but this allows you to stay within that budget that you set. Be able to get gifts that will make people happy, which in turn makes you happy. And then you come out in your January and you're like, you're not like, I just blew up my budget. That's what we're trying to prevent.
Keeping you whole for the holidays.
Whole for the holidays, because we talked about physical stress, relational stress, financial stress is that's very hard to escape. Because when you're anxious, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we talked about spending money on necessities. When you're anxious that you may not have enough money to cover your necessities, that's inescapable. That shakes you to your core. You have to budget, you have to find these good deals, and you have to buy things, even if you can't buy the whole thing, buy something that relates to that to help that person along.
And like he said, make sure your necessities are paid for.
Exactly.
The extra, then you can choose to do that. Also, save money as well. Save money.
And that's where that top of that thing we talked about at the beginning of this segment is set aside, this is what I can spend. This is the quote unquote disposable income that I have. Any above and beyond that, I can't do it.
And be okay with that. Because there's some people that's going to make you feel like you got all that money. You know you can do that. Don't be afraid to say, I set a budget and I'm not going above it. I'm sorry if you feel that. Just do you, boo.
You can miss me with that. Shawty knows me. I used to be one of the freest spending people out there. My dad said money burnt holes in my pocket. But guess what? My pockets are fireproof. I don't like spending money if I don't have to. Because I've realized as I've matured, my mother would say this to me all the time. You can only spend $1 once. You can go earn another one, but that $1's gone. All right? So you have to be cognizant.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times having that initial outlook, that perspective helps you with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about how to maintain us from burning out. We've talked about relationships. We've talked about finance. What's next?
Spiritual.
Yes.
Spiritual.
We're going to end on a big one. We got,
spiritual.
Yeah, let's do one more thing before we do spiritual.
Okay.
Don't overeat for the holidays. Ooh.
I can't promise that.
It got quiet. Y'all heard quiet.
I can't promise that.
Okay. So
I love me some candied yams.
Oh, Thanksgiving's coming. And you know, there's Christmas with all the sweets around. Yes. But you know what? Moderation.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, we've been saying this all year, if you have any sort of exercise regimen, do not abandon it. Mm-hmm. This is where most people get in trouble with the holidays from a health standpoint, a physical health standpoint. Mm-hmm. Our eating habits are blown up because there's too much good food around, and we tend to eat socially and all that sorts of stuff. So our eating habits get blown up, and our workout habits fall by the wayside because we're so busy.
Yes.
So you double whammy in yourself.
Yes, yes.
Whatever you do to stay in shape, keep doing it.
And it's not saying that you can't eat those delicious foods.
No.
Remember, very early on in this week, we talked about serving spoons.
Yeah.
And make sure that you get enough at that time. Don't overfill your plate.
Yes.
Because if you do a little bit of here, a little bit of here, a little bit, once you're done eating that, you realize I didn't really want that much in the first place. Mm-hmm. Just because it was on your plate, you think you're supposed to eat it.
Right.
Don't overfill your plate.
Right. And, you know, I heard this one thing that says if you put food on your plate and you can't see any part of the plate, that's too much food.
Yeah. That's true.
Like if your plate is completely full, like you can't see any of the surface of the actual plate, you've overfilled your plate. Now, I don't always abide by that. I'm not telling you that. That's just what they said. But here's the thing. Whatever you do, whether it's, some people do intermittent fasting. If you miss a day, that's fine. Don't just abandon the whole thing and keep eating crazy. If you have a cheat day, that's okay. Just don't abandon stuff. The biggest thing with the holidays is not that we eat more food or different kinds of food. Is that whatever our health practices are, we abandon them because it's the holidays. I can do what I want to do. And then the gyms are full for New Year's resolutions because everybody's feeling that bad.
Oh, the gyms make so much money around that time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do because it's going to be crazy in there.
You'll figure it out, babe. You'll figure it out. You're doing well now.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, doing 3 times a week. You're doing very well. As you guys can see, look at the physique. Okay, back to spiritual health.
Spiritual health.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think the holidays can be very trying spiritually for a lot of folks because, you know, we tend to think about family members or loved ones that are not here. If our budget isn't what we want it to be. And the enemy of our soul points to the things we don't have.
The lack.
He points to the things we lack. Okay? He points to the desires we have that we see as unfulfilled. And then that becomes our focus.
Yes.
Okay? I heard a guy say this, and Johnny was there in the seminar with me. He's like, the reason Eve was so drawn to the tree is because Satan didn't point to all of the other trees that they could eat off. He pointed to the one tree they couldn't. So he focused her eyes on what she, quote unquote, lacked, therefore distracting her from what she had.
The abundance of what she had.
Imagine being in a place where everything in the produce section of your favorite grocery store is there for free.
Oh, wow.
And they said, don't go eat
the plum right now.
Don't go eat the chips. You can eat everything in the produce section, just don't eat that bag of chips.
Babe, that's human nature. Like you just said don't eat the chips. Now I'm thinking I want the chips. Yeah.
Because that spirit of what you lack or what you don't have takes your eyes away and your appreciation away from the abundance of what you do.
And it's work.
It's work
for you to refocus on all the blessings and joys and have gratitude for what the Lord has around you.
Right. And that is exactly what I was going to say. You said gratitude and joy. Thanksgiving, Christmas,
Kwanzaa,
you know, all that stuff. New Year's. If you really step back and look at it. These are all times to show gratitude. Thanksgiving, gratitude for all the blessings that we have, family, food. So you're being thankful for those things. On Christmas, we're thankful for the gift of Jesus Christ into the world. On New Year's, we're thankful that we made it through another year and we're celebrating that. That attitude of gratitude has to always, you have to affirm that in yourself.
Yeah.
You have to bring that, God, I'm thankful, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. God, I'm thankful for this. Lord, I'm thankful. If you begin to every day say, I'm thankful for one thing. I'm thankful for the ability to feel the sunshine on my face. Simple things like that. If
your mind setting change, even the way you look, change.
I was helping one of the twins get dressed the other morning, and I said, Lord, I'm thankful that I'm here to be able to help my son with this. Because this time last year, there were some questions about that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize it, but my face, I started smiling, and everything, it just changed. Simple attitude of gratitude. Why? When we are thankful, and this is a psychological, neuroscientific fact, this is what research has proven. When we are thankful, when we show gratitude, it lights up the pleasure centers in our brains, which reinforces that behavior. You teach yourself to be have more gratitude. And what does gratitude do? Gratitude doesn't make everything better, but it gives you joy. This is why it's important for us spiritually this holiday season to have an attitude of gratitude at every chance, every time it pops into our head, because the joy of the Lord is our strength. So when we are thankful toward Him, when we are thankful for what He's blessed us with, when we are thankful for the opportunities, the blessings that we have, when we are thankful for, and this is where you really got to grow up. I had to grow up to this. When we're thankful for the hardships He has brought us through.
Yes.
Then that gratitude produces the physiologic reaction that gives us that happiness, that serenity, and that is where that joy comes from. And that joy keeps us going. It keeps us going.
Yes, it does.
From one thing to the next. That joy is what allows us to deal with that person in traffic who does something real stupid. I'm not, because that joy is more important than that momentary conflict that I'm getting ready to engage in. How do you keep your spirit full?
I ain't stressing today.
Dear silence, I ain't stressing today.
Bounce.
So the attitude of gratitude, that is spiritually, and I'm not just saying this needs to be your perspective on the world. What am I
thankful for? It should be an everyday thing. It's not just for this holiday, but just an everyday thing. If you could just sit down, and you ain't even got to sit down.
No.
When you wake up and breathe, there was somebody that did not wake up. There was somebody that lost their sight. There was somebody that woke up paralyzed. There was somebody that lost somebody. But you were able to wake up in your right mind with all your strength, all your limbs, able to roll out your bed and go take a shower and brush your teeth without help. That's gratitude.
I mean, it could be, things we take for granted.
Yes.
Listen, that kind of gratitude is what produces the outlook that helps us keep going in this world. It keeps our mind focused on the joy of the Lord. And like I said earlier, that is where the strength to live well comes from. To struggle well, to live well. We have to have a continual attitude of gratitude. I'm not saying there will not be grief. There will, in remembering those that are no longer here.
Yes.
But if you have an attitude of gratitude, it helps you in those moments to enjoy those that are still here.
Yes. Because sometimes you can lose sight that you have people that love you, that care for you around you, because you lost that person that was so near and dear to you. I know that for a fact. It happened to me. And I didn't realize that it was happening to me. But that's also where counseling can be very helpful.
Yes.
I know it's a stigma sometimes in the church, and it's starting to change.
It's starting.
But counseling is really, really, really helpful to help you see what you couldn't see because you were blinded by so much pain.
Right. And I have to share this. Again, this is not an advertisement. I've not used this service. I've just heard it advertised. But there's a counseling service called faithfulcounseling.com. It's a Christian-based counseling service. Okay? So that's what they do. This is their, I have not interacted with them. When I listen to my Christian meditation app, it always advertises. If you just don't want to walk into a random therapist office, start there. I'm not saying you're going to like it, but just start somewhere. But I'm not telling you, again, I corrected this earlier, the trauma of grief is real. The pathology starts when we can't or we refuse to move and interact with the world that is still here over that grief or over that trauma. Okay? But if you begin to be thankful for what you have, for the blessings that are present, for the ongoing mercies of God in our life, that gratitude produces joy. That joy helps us remain strong or regain that strength. And then that joy can spread from one person to another.
And gratitude will help you know to do self-preservation.
Yes.
Will help you know that how you can thrive and be whole for the holidays.
Whole for the holidays. We want to be whole for the holidays. Why do you want to be whole for the holidays? Because the people you love deserve the whole you.
Yes.
That is the main thing. When we give people pieces and parts, when we don't manage ourselves, then we can't give that part of ourselves fully to some of the people we love. Okay? And when we're whole, then we can present that whole not only to God, but to the people around us. And those social connections, those relationships grow so much stronger when everybody can bring their whole selves to the table.
I'm gonna jump somewhere else, because you had a talk with a young man at the and he asked you, how is it that your family looks so happy? How is it that your kids are bubbly and joyful? And you have to work and you have all this stuff going on. Because sometimes you're not completely whole.
True.
So how do you, not you, but I mean you, and I know how I do it, give you to the people or to your child, to me, to your work? How do you do it when you don't have it all?
I think when you don't have it all, two things. When I don't feel at my best, I remember why I need to be my best. When I'm at work and I'm not 100%, I'm not feeling it today. I have to remember why I'm there. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll walk into a patient room or I'll go talk to a family. And I see the impact of what my services or the services I help to provide gives to them. And that, because, okay, even though I'm not my best, now, because I know why, I can give the best where I am.
Good. That's where I wanted to go.
Whatever your best is in that moment, give that.
Yes.
But in order for you to know what your best is, you have to be present and engaged. You can't be football coach said this once. He always told his players, you have to be where your cleats are. I can't be on the field thinking about the game. Thinking about the post game, thinking about what's going on at home. I have to be where my feet are.
You always say, eat what's in front of you.
Eat what's in front of you. Whatever the best you have, start there. It's not always going to be 100%, but if I've got 80, I'm going to give my children and my family that 80.
That 80 is 100.
That's 100 because it's 100 of what I have. It's all of what I have.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you the best that I have. And when you do that, that authenticity speaks volumes. People respond to authentic. And now, even if when people see me at work and I'm 80% and I'm giving at 80%, they know I'm not 100%. But they see that I'm giving them everything.
They appreciate that you're giving them.
And they appreciate it. They're grateful that even though I'm not at my best, I'm giving my best. Always give your best where it matters most. Always. Don't cheat, because, and here's where I've learned, you never know when the last time's going to be the last time.
You just took that right out, like you took it out of my head.
You never know.
You took it out of my head. Life is but a vapor. You took it out of my head.
Don't take for granted those moments. And again, that goes right back to that attitude of gratitude. If you're thankful for the moment, you will give yourself to that moment. You will be present in that moment. Don't take it for granted. Don't just say, oh, I'll talk to them later. I'll do it tomorrow. Don't. When you understand that every singular breath and every singular moment is a gift to be grateful for, then that attitude of gratitude gives you joy. That joy gives you strength to be whatever your best is in that moment. You can do it. And you know what that joy also gives you strength to do? To do all of these things to keep yourself whole. You will invest in you so that I can give my best. I can give my best. When I go to the gym now, it's not just so I can look good in a shirt. I go to the gym because I need to try to be healthy so I can give my best to my family and my job and blah, 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 blah. The why feeds on itself. Okay? Don't ever just, and please, please, please be present, be engaged. That is my thing. Be where your feet are. Be where your feet are. Plan it so you don't overextend yourself. Budget so you're not worried about how you're going to pay your light bill after Christmas. Be grateful so that you can have that joy, but be present wherever you are and give your best there. And when you do that, you will begin to receive that in return, and it's fulfilling.
So
that's how we're whole for the holidays.
Let's be whole for the holidays.
I'll be whole for Christmas. I remixed the song. That's okay.
Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. I hope you got something from learning to mark your calendars and learning to make sure that you have self-awareness and be present and look at your budget to make sure that you don't overspend. And when it's time to look at your necessities, that the money has been depleted. And last but not least, have gratitude for every moment, every second of the day that the Lord has blessed you with. So.
And be okay. Last thing, tip of the week. Be okay with boundaries. Your boundaries and the other person's boundaries. We cannot do everything. That is what has helped me to be my best. Is when I prioritize and push things to the side, then the things that are left, I can give my best to. You have to have boundaries. All right, y'all be whole for the holidays. We will see y'all for a recap. We're going to try to do a yearly recap, end of the year show for December. But y'all be blessed. It's been a pleasure being with you. Hopefully you will be whole for the holidays. Stay on the track. Stay whole.
Oh, and you can come back and to give us some tips of what you've done to be whole for the holidays. Because I'm sure we don't know everything. And I'm sure we can use it too.
There you go. All right. So leave questions, leave comments, like, subscribe, share the things on the channel, because we want to know, one, that God is blessing you through it, and two, that this information is getting out there. We want to use the algorithm. And
share it to a friend. If it's helped you, the only thing we ask is that you share it to someone else, because it can help them as well.
There you go. All right. Well, y'all take care. We'll see you next time. Go be whole for the holidays, and we will see you right back here next month on Healthy and Whole.
Mind, body, and soul.
Good night, y'all. Y'all be good.